Discussions with myself on faith. When I first wrote this article almost exactly 2 years ago, I had no idea then that my greatest descent into the abyss of darkness was still yet ahead of me. This had been just a shadow of what was to come. It was the soul stirrings of a great awakening within me of what would become my greatest encounter with the divine Creator. It is not one moment of clarity or a flash of miraculous intervention or even the voice of God. It is a dark pathway, lit only by the tiny, flickering lamp of your soul as you make your way stumbling and falling through the thick woods of the unknown. I hesitate to use the word journey here because it is a word that is overused so much for so many things. Faith is a journey, but it's more than just that one sweeping statement. It's a way of life. It's a set of beliefs and values. It brings meaning and purpose to life. These are the accepted dictionary definitions of faith, but it is more than this. It is also a knowing deep within, like a child who trustingly puts their hand into the hand of an adult because they know and believe that they are loved. My internal wrestling with the world takes me sometimes to dark places, but my natural inclination is to figure a way out. It can lead to some interesting discussions and dialogue, not just with other people, but also with myself. Coming out of a cult, as I have, the IBLP cult of Bill Gothard, led me to question everything I've been taught. It also led me to freedom, but not before I was made acutely aware of the chains that took freedom from me. Chains I had gotten so used to that I was no longer aware of them. My faith began when I was 5 years old, so I can say that I have been a woman of faith for more than 40 years now. And what that looks like now is actually, in many ways, similar to what it looked like at 5 years old. It's like a full circle, but it's changed and altered and grown and shrunk, nearly discarded. But now it looks more like it did at 5 years old than it did at 25 years old. But the difference is the knowledge of God that I have gathered along the way, and yet to many and to myself once, it is the knowledge of God that is often the stumbling block. I met someone recently who had been a Christian missionary to a remote, little-known Asian village, the exact same place that I was at nearly 30 years ago when I was a Christian missionary too. It was a joyous chance encounter to talk to someone who knew this place as I did. We exchanged jungle stories, and I heard how the area has grown and is thriving. As I was thinking about it afterwards and remembering those days, I thought about the saying that we used to have when I was in YWAM, Youth with a Mission, which is the organisation I was with when I travelled to this remote village. And the saying was, to know God and to make him known. I thought I knew God. I never imagined, when I was with YWAM and in the youth and fervency of my faith going to remote, isolated jungle villages, that one day I would walk away from it all, that I would realise I was in a deception so dark and deep and hollow that it would crush my faith and everything I thought I knew about God. I had to strip back everything I thought I knew about God and start over, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. For faith to survive, if it is going to survive, the culling is vital. I questioned a lot. I questioned how my foundation of cultural Christianity had led to me being deceived. I questioned why God would take me into spiritually dangerous places. And I'm not talking about remote Indonesian villages here, but rather the gilded plush offices of a well-known Christian organisation. I questioned the image of God I had been taught and the one I had constructed in my mind. I questioned everything. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I do want to record what has been for me an extraordinary, revolutionary, sometimes rebellious experience, and why now I feel a confidence in my faith and my beliefs that I've never known before. I was explaining to someone recently why I don't go to church anymore. I will cover this later, but in a short summary, The main original reason is that I did not want man's idea of God and man's interpretation of God to influence my life and my life decisions any more as it did once so catastrophically. I decided to set out to know God and to know Him so well that when a counterfeit was introduced to me, I would be able to see it. I would not be deceived again. But what I found is, the key here is that if you want to know God, really know God, you can't do it on knowledge alone. You have to have courage and faith. It's vital, and often, paradoxically, the key ingredient that is overlooked. You have to be prepared to step into the unknown, sometimes into what might seem like scary places. To really know God, you must be prepared to step off the pathway from the familiar ground beneath you. You might be surprised at what you find. This is what I want to tell you about. 1. Creating an idol out of God, a study into cultural Christianity. 2. Counterfeit faith, endemic lies in mainstream Christianity. 3. Jesus is the center of everything, like it or not, and many, even Christians, don't. 4. Connecting with the Divine Father, God. 5. How to handle foundational shifts when you're a recovering rule follower. And 6. It starts with fear and it ends with love. You can find me on Substack. The link is provided below.